Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso. My experience and expertise is in scaling all types of medical businesses to 7, 8, and even 9 figures. And this isn't a podcast telling you you should do this. For the most part, it's telling you what I did. I want to help you build your business, take ownership of your life, and become a better leader at home and at work. So let's get into it. Today, I am joined by Griselda herself. Look at that jacket. The queen of just gangs. Like, I feel like that's a Narcos jacket right there.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't at
No,
all? Well, that's
none.
good. Well, whatever.
Is
So,
this a cartoon?
no, Griselda was a real person.
Okay.
She was a Colombian drug lord
Oh,
who moved to America and was probably one of the most powerful female entrepreneurs, if you will. Cocaine and drug running is an entrepreneuristic, but also one of the most badass. And I feel like the Argyle jacket gives off Griselda vibes.
1,000% in
Yep.
agreement.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
it's exactly who I want to be.
It's
Yeah.
badass businesswoman.
Maybe not
She was
with-
terrifying. She terrified even Castro himself.
Maybe
Pablo,
not
or
with
not Castro, Pablo.
Cocaine, but
Yeah, there you
with
go.
skincare.
There you go.
Yeah?
Yeah, skincare.
Yeah.
The drug lord of skincare.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
Today we're going to talk about Elon Musk. Love him or hate him. We have done several podcasts on founders, studying founders. And you often say, instead of people looking for influencers to figure out what they should do, which is all fake, or mostly fake, then that we really should be looking at the architects, the people that built the things, the people that were the foundation. And then I also heard recently somebody say, don't study the person, study the people that person studied. I think Michael Jackson did that. And it was an interview with Usher, and he was talking about Michael Jackson and how Michael Jackson studied, these great artists. And that's how he got his inspiration. And so Usher was like, yes, I study Michael Jackson, but I'm also studying all of these other incredible artists because that's where he got his inspiration. So it's good to go back to the ground, the foundation of like, what are we actually looking at? Who are we inspired by? And what are we talking about? And so with Elon Musk, he has really rewritten a lot of industries, and he's very forward thinking. And so we're going to unpack the 5 top principles that define how he thinks, how he leads, and how he executes to create all of this massive success that he has created.
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
The first thing that we're going to talk about is thinking in first principles. Musk doesn't start from best practices. He starts from physics and reason. And when he was asked, what are the fundamental truths of this problem that we're facing? He thinks about like, what do we know for sure? And then he starts to rebuild his processes from scratch. So that's a really interesting thing. So it's not just creating for the sake of creating, but it's like, what do we know for sure? What's the truth of this? Yeah. And we've talked about going based on data. He goes back to the data and then he builds something from scratch from there.
Yeah. And one of the coolest stories about Elon studying him, when he was looking at building the Boring Company and building the drill for the Boring Company, and for those that don't know, boring is spelled like boring, as in this is boring, but it's a drilling company that essentially he's drilling underneath major cities for pathways, essentially for cars to drive back and forth and get across cities faster, reduce traffic, etc. So most of the drills that were created up until the point of the Boring Company were straight down. So they're going to drill straight down into the earth and then drop the drill down and drill at an angle. And then what they would do is drop a tractor in there and create like a ramp. And Elon takes a lot of his inspiration from animals. And so he was looking at the mole, who essentially digs and does the same thing, bores out dirt behind him. And he said, well, why, like if a mole can do it from like a flat surface, we need to build a fucking drill that can do that. I think the story goes, he was having this idea, and when Elon has an idea or something that he wants done, he does it right then and there. And so it was like 2 a.m. He calls his head engineer at one of his other companies and he says, "I need you to find out everything you know about drilling, and I need you to design a drill that can drill essentially at an angle from just a rolling position like a mole would, and I'm going to pick you up in 3 hours." So he got on his jet, flew to his engineer. By the time he picked up his engineer had come together with a couple ideas, and then they flew to the factory where they started building this drill. And as a result of that, they built a drill that can literally roll up, angle down, drill at an angle, and then flatten out and drill straight, and then back up on the other side angle wise. So again, that was based off physics and following what an animal and human nature or actual nature, not human nature, but animal nature does, and following that and creating a system based off that. The reasoning before that was like, oh, well, drills have to go straight down. Well, and then you have to, well, and he questioned that. He's
Mhm.
like, why? Why do we have to do that? What's the truth here? The truth is in nature that doesn't occur. So how can I copy nature? And that's how he's innovated almost everything that he touches. He started 3D printing parts before like 3D printing was really a thing. When they were working on the rocket ship and they were working on the pieces of the rocket ship, there are stories of them reaching out to a vendor for like a little metal part that was 150 grand and they were on back orders. And so he went and got, I think, refrigerator handles and he looked at them and they were roughly the same. And he's like, okay, this is what you have, gave it to the engineer and said, make this work into this part. And again, a few hours later, the engineer had some sort of working functionality. They 3D printed it in steel or aluminum and they had a part that was $5,000 instead of $150,000 and back ordered.
Wow.
So he consistently has done those things with everything: rockets, batteries, solar. It's not how others do it. It's like, what actually makes sense here? What can we improve upon? And how can I make this system and process better?
Wow, it's so cool. I did not know that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
he
that's
has
awesome.
tons, and there's tons of stories like that. It's pretty
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, it's what makes him dangerous is he's not, he's like, he's just not playing by the same rules as the rest of us. How do you think small business owners can use that first principles without overthinking and overcomplicating things in their business?
There's different access to this because first, we're not all Elon Musk. We're not all going to be able to invent something out of our brains or just think at that level where you're thinking at, okay, well, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to create it and build it and have the money to be able to support it. Most entrepreneurs, most leaders can't do that because we don't have that possibility. If we're doing it this way, does it make sense to do it this way? Why am I doing this way? Is it just because this is the way it's always been done, which is never a good answer? Are there better ways to do this? Are there faster ways to do this? Are there more efficient ways to do this? And when you are getting to that point, I think that's how you need to look at your business, where this concept is very complicated in terms of like, oh well, we got to invent something new and create something new. I think it's really just taking the best parts of other companies or other systems or other processes and bringing it into your company. Elon looked around and saw refrigerator hinges as something that he could apply to space technology. Okay, well, the way that this hotel checks people in, I like that. So let me use that way to check people in my clinic. It could be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be you creating new machinery or new parts or new something. It's looking at the systems you currently have. And then when you go and visit places or you are just looking at your surroundings, it's taking those things and saying, you know what, that would actually be really useful in this part. And then testing it out in your business. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, it doesn't have to be rocket science. It could just be simple things in your business that create innovation.
What's one example in your companies? You have multiple where you've had to tear something down in order to rebuild it from the ground up.
This is something that's just always happening. If you're pushing innovation, you're always having to tear something down and rebuild it and redo it. And that should just be part of your practices where you're just consistently trying to lean processes out. And Elon has a concept where he said, if you are taking away things, taking away steps in a process, if you will, and not being forced to add steps back because you took too many processes away, then you're not doing it right. Which is very interesting because when you think about it, like he's all about being lean and efficient. There's no like extra steps ever that are done in any of Elon's businesses. If it takes 3 steps to do this, it takes 3 steps. And Elon tries to do it in 2. And if he does it in 2 and says, well, then nope, that fucked up, he puts back that 1 step. So it should be the same in your business. You should try and reduce the amount of friction you can every single step of the way. And if you can't, if you get to that point and there's too many steps that got taken away, you need to add 1 back.
Ah, understood.
Yeah.
I have a lot of conversations with people when it comes to some of the business to business sales. And it's interesting to see how many companies make things unnecessarily complicated because they want to sell you their entire system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild. I've had conversations with med spa owners and I'm like, it doesn't have to be that complicated.
Yeah. Yep.
Like the more steps you have that you have to train your team on implementing, and then you are waiting to get consistent results across the board, like the simpler, the better.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't make things unnecessarily complicated. I think about that when I think about him and business is the efficiency.
Yep.
It's, something that's common in a lot of his interviews is just being the most efficient that he can possibly be in all of his businesses.
Yep.
But I like that. I've not heard that particular principle that he goes by. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I can see why it would be extremely valuable. One of the things I think that really overlaps with Elon Musk and you is obsessing about things like it's oxygen, like just obsessing. And I don't mean that in a bad way, although I emphasize obsessing.
Yeah.
But it is literally an obsession. It is your mission. It's your hobbies. It's what you do when you're on vacation. It's what you do day to day. It is constant. And you have to. And that's something that has made him extremely successful. Heard an interview where he was saying that he slept on the floor of his assembly line room because he wanted his employees to see him.
Yeah.
Like he obsesses to the point where he would sleep in a sleeping bag under a desk on the floor so that any shift that was working would see him there and being that present. I mean, that's an obsession.
Yeah. No, the dude consistently goes to the problem. So he bounces around. He's one of the most traveled persons every year because he's bouncing around to all the meetings that he has. And then he's consistently going to the factories. I think there was some data that showed he was quote unquote home like less than 5% of an entire year because he stays and sleeps in the factories. He has a place in the factories where he stays. He goes and manages by walkabout better than anybody really on the planet. And managed by walkabout meaning he is on the assembly line, watching what people do, talking to them, critiquing them. He is in the management meetings, asking people, challenging his engineers to consistently think more and come up with better. And that's how you have to be in your business. People are like, oh, well, you can work this time and then you should take some time to yourself. Cool, you can, but if you want to be like next level, great, you can't because there's gonna be someone else who is not fucking taking that time at all. There's somebody always wants to take your lunch, period, and there's gonna be someone who's younger and hungrier than you, who wants it worse than you, who's gonna be fighting tooth and nail and working 100 hours a week. So if you're not doing that, you're not gonna get there. And it's the same as if you're moving up in a position in your company. If you are, let's say, naturally gifted and you're really good at your job and you're working 40 hours a week and somebody who isn't as naturally as good as you is working 60 or 80 hours a week, you know what? They're going to fucking beat you at some point. They're going to be able to catch up to you and then they're going to blow past you and you're going to be done. And I was listening to a podcast with Andy Frisella, one of my mentors and good buddies, and he was talking about weekends and that for most entrepreneurs, there are no fucking weekends anymore. Like, weekend is just another day.
Yeah.
You do the same thing on weekends. Half the time, I don't even know what fucking day it is. I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what day. Do the kids have to go to school today? Because that'll tell me whether or not it's a Tuesday or a Thursday, at least during the week. Other than that, I don't fucking know what day it is, like 98% of the time. And it's the same with guys like Andy or leaders who want to do really well, is that they're working on the weekends. They're doing their work on the weekends. They're doing their normal jobs on the weekends. So I punched this into ChatGPT because it made it easier, because I'm terrible at math and I didn't want to get it wrong. Over 5 years, if a person works on weekends, they will add 2 years of work over the person who doesn't work on weekends. So
That's a lot.
5 years for the person who doesn't work on weekends, 7 years of experience for the person who does.
Yeah, it's like 40% more
Oh, it is
progress.
40. It is 40% more every single
Wow.
time. If you do it for 20 years, you are 8 years ahead. If you do it for 30 years, it's 16 years ahead. Think about that. If you do something for 20 years, almost an extra 8 years of experience in business is had. Almost a decade extra is had just working weekends, doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Think about that for 30 years. If you're doing that for 30 years, if you do that from 20 to the time you're 50, you will have worked an extra 16 years of time versus your competition.
Wow.
Like, you are a fucking fool to think that you could beat the person who is working day in, day out, nights, weekends, whatever. You will never beat that person. Ever.
Yeah, I think I bend that direction anyway, because coming from Vegas and spending 17 years in Vegas,
Yeah.
there's nothing ever shuts down.
No.
Nothing's ever closed. Nothing,
Yeah.
everything's 24 hours. The gym, the grocery store, anything you want, any time of day, you just keep going. And so most of my life was spent with that mentality. Like, there wasn't weekends. And actually being in, service side of the business, where I was doing a lot of beauty services. Usually people who had weekends off wanted to book for services on the weekend. So it was just like, you worked weekends. I worked weekends, I should say. But I actually like that now. Oh, the reason that I kind of like working weekends now is there's no appointments on my schedule. Like, I don't have meetings. It's not the same feeling on the weekends, because, most people are working Monday through Friday. So you have a lot of conference calls, meetings, things like that. I actually like working on the weekends because I feel like I get dedicated quality work time in, where there's like no distractions. People, our clinics are closed. There's just
people aren't usually
not,
pulling you in different directions.
yeah,
Yep.
there's not a lot coming my way. So it just allows for really good quality work time.
Yep.
Which I like. Now, I am not comparing myself at all to Elon Musk, but I will say I do like working
Yeah, well,
weekends too.
Well, that's why he is where he is, because nobody's fucking Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Why does he have the financials of 50%, more than 50% of the world's GDP fucking combined? Because he works like he works. And you could argue he's not a very good family man. He won't admit that he's a good family man. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that in business, you're never gonna fucking beat him. You're not going to beat people like that. And it comes, if you're trying to get a leg up and be a manager or a step up in your company and you want to get to that next level, you're not going to get to that next level if there's somebody who is doing that, who is working the nights, who is working the weekends, who is doing that extra step. You're not going to beat that person. And so that is the obsession. The obsession is necessary. Like, he pulls and learns around what he's trying to build. So say he is trying to build a rocket ship. He only reads and learns about rocket ships and engineering specs and code based off of rockets. That's all he does. That's all he does for days and weeks and months on edge. That's it. Obsession for him is not, I'm going to obsess and I'm going to burn out. Obsession for him is the desire to change the world and do something one step at a time. And it's his belief. It's his belief that I believe in what I'm going to do, so I'm going to work my ass off to do it. And I'm going to work my ass off to grow. And that's the difference between like being ambitious and being obsessed. Like, ambition wants like reward. You want the pat on the back. You want nobody fucking claps for me. They fucking don't. I don't expect
I'm
it.
gonna send you clapping
You
hands from
should.
now
You
on.
should. You should. I'll just be annoyed by it, quite honestly. Because that's
I'll
what I
send you
fucking signed up
clapping
for.
hands, and then I'll
Yeah.
send you that little feature that does them all over the
Oh
screen.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm not we're not asking to do that. It's what you fucking signed up for.
Yeah.
Like you don't sign up for people to fucking clap for you. Sorry. You sign up because you're obsessed about something you need to do or change or improve upon, and it should be the same in your work. Like your clap for you will be the next raise, will be bonuses, will be things. People nowadays want a pat on the back and say you're doing a good job, which is fine to a degree, but the people who really fucking win and make a lot of money, they don't need any fucking pats on the back.
Yeah.
They are just internally driven with this obsession to grow. Like obsession is like, I am going to master this fucking thing, and I am obsessed with where I'm going. I'm obsessed with my mission. And Milet says your obsessions become your possessions. It's as simple as that. What you obsess about, at some point you will possess if that's exactly what you're looking at every single day. That's why guys like us have car posters growing up and backgrounds on our computers and our phones of cars or goals that we're going to have, because if we look at it every single day, our reticular activating system, our RAS, looks for opportunities to provide those things for ourselves. They look for the openings to provide for us. That's karma, and all that stuff goes in the direction of what you're thinking about. Thoughts become things.
Yeah. Beliefs create experience. Where do you feel like the line is drawn from healthy passion to like an unhealthy fixation on something?
I guess controversial. The only time where obsession is unhealthy, I believe, is when it hurts others or when you end up in the fucking hospital. Because when you're hurting others, that's just bullshit. And then when you end up in the hospital, obviously you're going to end up dead at some point, and you can't be obsessed about something if you're fucking dead. So that's it. Like there is no unhealthy obsession. People say there's unhealthy obsessions. Like if you're not hurting anybody and you're not putting yourself in the hospital, then technically there is not, I believe, an unhealthy obsession with anything. And people say, well, what about drugs? Like, okay, they fucking decide to do drugs at home and not hurt anybody. Whatever. I don't care. That's what they want to do. That's not damaging to anyone else. Now, if they do drugs and they go out and fucking hurt people or kill people, yeah, I think it's an unhealthy obsession. But who am I to judge what people's obsessions are, unhealthy or healthy? If it doesn't hurt anybody and it's not fucking hurting themselves, cocaine, you could say, or drugs or whatever, it's hurting themselves. If it's not hurting themselves or anybody else, then being obsessed about something is not unhealthy. It's really not. There's people who try and change other people's opinions about this or that, or they should focus on this, or they should grow, do it this way or that way. And I've started to learn more and more that people are just going to do what the fuck they want to do. They're just going to want to be who they want to be, do what they want to do. And you know what? Whatever. Fucking whatever.
You can't change
You can't change it. You can't fucking change it. Why worry about it? And I drive
and
myself.
then trying to control other people just makes you crazy.
I drive myself to the brink of fucking mental anguish trying to drag other people along with me that don't want to get to that next level. That want to that I want them to work as hard as me who don't want to. And I've done it over and over and over. And Brent, my business partner, has done it over and over and over. And so has my other business partners, where we have dragged people along with us who never wanted to go with us in the first place. And after a while, you just can't. But I don't think there's anything with having what normal people would call an unhealthy fixation about something, an unhealthy fixation or obsession about something.
I feel like the word obsession could be even interchanged with the word focus.
Yeah.
Because the word obsession itself feels a bit negative, where when somebody is truly focused on where they're going, I think about a horse and they have blinders on because you don't want them to get distracted by the things around them. And whatever those distractions are, if you minimize those things and stay focused on where you're going, you're going to go that direction and eventually get what you're working toward. And like we said, especially if you're working weekends, you're going to get there faster. But being focused on where you're going, I think you can call it obsession And it does have almost like a negative feeling to it, but it also is just an intense amount of focus.
Yep.
And when you have that level of focus, that's where you stop paying attention to the things that other people are doing. We've talked about this before. Like we don't pay attention to the competition. You know, it doesn't matter what they're doing
Yep.
because if we're focused on what we're doing, we're going to get to our goal. Doesn't We don't even know their goals. We don't even know, we don't know what their path is, but we know our path and we know our journey, and staying focused on that, that's where the personal power comes in. And I think it's a lot easier to speak from a level of passion where you can get a lot of other people on board with you, moving forward and moving the same direction.
Hmm.
It sounds like his level of obsession and focus keeps people moving forward with him.
Yeah.
Like he has so many companies, he's got so many employees. I mean, he's calling his engineer at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning saying, "Hey, wake up, make me this thing." And he's doing it, and why? Because that level of focus, other people who are also focused do want to be a part of. So you do surround yourself with people, I think, that are more focused when you just continue to grind like that.
Yeah.
And you quickly realize who isn't cut out for that. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You guys having to experience that.
Yeah. He cuts out the noise. I mean, he is a
Mm.
no noise type of person, brings us to our next point. There's like no hierarchy in his systems, in his businesses. Like if you need something done, you just speak up. And if it makes sense, you're going to be able to either get the funding or get the support to do it.
Mm.
He allows people to just be who they want to be when they want to be. He has a policy in his meetings that if you are not getting anything out of the meeting or you do not have to be there, you just get up and leave. Like he does not want you there. He's paying for you to do something useful. So if you're there and you're just listening as a fly on the wall, he says, get up and fucking leave. He doesn't get mad about it or anything. He would get mad if you're sitting there not contributing and not getting anything out of the meeting. So that's a
Mm.
huge thing I think is important for meetings, in that he has that policy. And then if the meeting that was going to happen doesn't create immediate value, he just fucking cancels it, because he only has a finite amount of time during the day to have these meetings.
Yeah.
So, and he has so many, and he has so many businesses that everything that he schedules has to be something that's going to move the needle forward. If it's just to talk, if it's just to hang out, if it's just to do anything that isn't vital to the function of the businesses to push them forward, he fucking cancels it, which is great, because most people don't do that nowadays.
Mm.
They want to have coffee with their friends or pick each other's brains or sit and talk about business. And it's like, he doesn't do any of that. If a relationship or a meeting does not benefit him or his businesses directly, he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. And so that's one thing that I've learned most recently in businesses is that I don't go to lunch with anybody. I don't have any meetings with anybody. I don't talk to anybody. If people message me on Instagram or Facebook saying, "Hey, I want to pick your brain," go to Charismatics, or, that's where I could have your medical community and you can answer the questions, because that's where I need to focus. A partnership or a vendor in our business, cool, I'll have a conversation with you, but you better bring the heat and make it worth my time. Otherwise, I don't meet with you. I don't go to lunch with you. I don't hang out with you. I don't leave to go to dinners with other entrepreneurs so we can flex with each other and hang out with our Lamborghinis and be like, yeah, we're cool people. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to hang out with you. Don't fucking invite me anywhere. I don't want to hang out with you. Like, I don't. I get a little bit of time, and that time is to my family and for my wife, and fucking the rest of you, no. I don't fucking want to hang out with you. If you're not in my business, if you're not one of my teammates, one of my employees, somebody who can do business with me, I don't want to hang out with you. I just don't. I don't have the time. I don't have the time. And Elon's the same way. Elon's worse than me. Elon cut his family out, right? Like he just does. So that's
Yeah.
what he's
Yeah.
obsessed about. There's no hierarchy in his company, in his business, in his family life. Every company is going to grow layers of hierarchy and layers of just corporate bullshit that slows people down. When we went and spoke with private equity for Genesis, when we were looking to sell Genesis, they were like, well, you need 28 positions for the positions that Brent and I were doing. It's like, no, you fucking don't. I will argue with you till the day I die, because I don't think like your corporate like hierarchy is bullshit. That's bullshit. That is a lot of bloated bureaucratic crap
Mhm.
at the top. And that's what Elon does. He like burns all that shit to the ground. He removes all that. Anybody who's executives that aren't moving the needle, he just completely removes from the business. That position does not exist anymore. So his communication moves at the speed of his thought. He's not like waiting for things to happen. He just removes it. There's no politics there because there's no people to play the politics game. Everybody's there for a reason doing a job.
It's an open door with him. Like if somebody needs something that they can email SpaceX, they can get things taken care of. There's no like chain of command waiting to get something done.
Yes.
And that's the benefit of keeping things lean. There's a quote by him, or I've heard, Elon hates uh Elon hates middlemen more than he hates bad Wi-Fi. And
That's
the
so good.
middleman, the middleman, the middleman. I've had a lot
The
of
bad Wi-Fi is even worse.
yeah, it's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. But yeah, if it's not necessary, like don't do it. I think that it's more people that you have to keep moving and in a certain direction, where if each person has their specific things that they're doing and it's efficient, you don't need that many people.
Mhm.
You don't. With that being said, and you talking about private equity and all of the many positions they wanted you to have, how do you balance that with wanting to scale fast and needing teams to help you get there?
Whatever position you're looking for, if you're looking to hire somebody or do something, you have to write down everything that you want for that position and then go recruit for that position specifically. In the charismatics call last night, we had a team member who was looking for a really strong, essentially clinic director, and but she could only afford like 10 to 20 hours a week because that's the only time the clinics were open. She couldn't afford a full-time person, but because she couldn't afford a full-time person, what she was putting on the ad was like, I need a more of an assistant, like a physician, a management assistant or something like that. And I said, well, is that really what you want in that position? And she said, well, no. And I said, well, then you should just really focus on what you want. Like write what you want in the amount of time that you want it or that you could provide, and somebody will come along. There's got to be somebody out there who literally is looking for that position or is right for that position in that number of hours at that salary. They're out there, people. You just have to work to find them. And you have to, in today's job, in today's world, do 10 times the amount of searching to find the one person. Used to be you put an Indeed ad out there and you got 250 applicants, and 50% of them were really qualified for the job. Now you put an Indeed out there and you get 15 applicants and 0% are are actually qualified for the job.
Little sidestep here. Why do you think that's the case?
Honestly, I think it's part of I think it's part social media, part of the, and I want to sound like the old codger that's like they don't know how to work nowadays. But when you open social media or turn on the news now, or everybody wants handouts for free. Like, oh, well, the government's going to give us handouts. The government's going to pay our loans. The government's going to do this or that. And I think people are starting to think that that's how it happens. That's how things work nowadays. Like, there's winners and losers. Like, now there's participation trophies. Like, that's all bullshit. There is going to always be winners and there's going to always be losers. There's going to always be rich people and there's going to always be poor people. And you could decide which side you're going to be on. There are plenty of choices to get to this side, and there's plenty of choices to hang out in this side for any job. And I think just more people now are feeling like they want to go that direction. Now, there is still a whole bunch of people who want to go this direction, grow, be great, do something great, and that's what you as a business owner or as a leader have to instill in your teams and your families. But I think that's just people see it out there on social media like it's the norm to be wealthy, like it's the norm to drive Lamborghinis, like it's the norm to buy designer everything. It's not the norm. You have a choice. You have an absolute choice. Just like Elon has a choice, just like anybody else has a choice. You can scale your business as fast as you want to, as slow as you want to. You can scale your life as fast as you want to, as slow as you want to. But you need to realize that your employees Your teammates, they only work for themselves. They don't work for you. You need to have a mission and a vision to drive them, and you need to have benefits that allow them to really want to grow and drive the behaviors you want to drive. While at the same time, when you turn around and you look at your own companies and you look at your own life, you need to realize that you have a decision to choose who you want to hang out with, who you want to do business with, etc. And so choose wisely.
Mhm.
You just have to.
Coming to Dallas, I had no actual network
Hmm.
here except for you.
Right.
And we spend a lot of time together on the podcast, and
Yep.
that's about it. But so, and then obviously having the baby was like there was a lull there where it was like I wasn't out doing much networking.
Hmm.
But I've gotten back into it, and I really love that. And as a woman, it's good to be around other women that are also building something. And it's good. I like the referral base and stuff, but I do find in this phase of my life, just like you, I want to spend time with people that are going to add value to what
Hmm.
I'm doing and
Yeah.
that I can add value to them. It's not just a one-way street. Like, what do I have that can help you? How can you help me? And then let's get together for a coffee or let's go to dinner. Like
Yeah.
last weekend, I went to Miami, went to 2 conferences, and a lot of that was relationship building. Do I want to leave my family for 2 days? Not really. Do I want to, leave at 4 a.m.? Not really. But am I going to do it? I am going to do it. You know why? Because those relationships are important. What that meant was now one of the women of many of the things that came of that, one of the women's like, hey, I want my whole team to know about what you're doing so we can all be talking about it when we're in clinics.
Hmm.
That's what that's about. So it's like, if you are going to spend time with people, be intentional about who those people are.
Yep.
I probably am not as extreme as you are in the sense of not spending time with anyone, but
Yeah.
because I do like to have friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to have friends that are doing business and like in that as well, but women who know that they've got something they're creating, that they're going for it, that they're mission focused, and they're striving for more than like just the basic mediocre lifestyle. Like I don't have anything to talk to you about if that's where you're at. Like
Yeah.
all good if that's what you want to do, but if you're not moving forward and creating something, like we're going to get together and it's just not going to be any fun anyway.
Yep.
So, surrounding yourself with people who are mission focused, because ultimately we all want to make people on this path want to make more money. You want more freedom. You want more time. You want to be able to provide more for your family. You want magical experiences. And as long as everybody's moving that direction, then we're going to be looking at how can we help each other create that.
Yep.
And there's not as many people out there as you would think. You realize
No.
that that's a small subset of people. I went to a few networking like celebration parties, and I was amazed at how many people were there and got really drunk within like the first half hour
Yeah.
because it was open bar. And I'm like, you can't meet anyone if you're, you can meet people if you're slurring your
Yeah.
words. You're not going to have a clue as to what
Yeah.
the conversation was about
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Yep.
And so that I thought was interesting. And the women that were not drinking much or not drinking at all, it was like you saw the depth of the conversations happening. It was very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Networking parties are stupid.
Well, I had a fun time.
Yeah. Probably drunk. First 30 minutes.
I
No, just
wasn't,
kidding.
since I don't drink.
Yeah.
But
It's just like, it's
drunk
just not
on
for me.
life.
Yeah.
High
Yeah,
on
it's
life.
crazy.
uh, the purpose and the mission side, that's something we've had calls with in our executive team with Genesis. And while we do talk a lot about the financial side of the business with our teams and driving revenue, because of course, like a business needs revenue to grow, we got to have, positive return on our investment to make things worth it. Also talking about the principles and the mission in that. And so how do you see a company being able to bring both to the table, where you're talking about mission, but you're also talking about the financial discipline to grow the business with your teams?
Elon doesn't chase money. He chases a solution. Like he chases meaning in what he's doing. Everything that he's doing is based off of leaving the world a better place. And people could say he's an evil genius. Okay, cool. I don't care. But that being said, from Tesla electric cars improving the ozone or improving the earth, Neuralink, improving brains and severed spinal cords and inability to speak, to blind. I think they just cured blindness, or at
Mm.
least cured one client who had blindness, and they did Neuralink and they could see. Um, Everything that he does has some sort of reason that makes humanity better, or that he believes makes humanity better. And so his companies exist to push humanity forward, to improve humanity. SpaceX is, again, to colonize Mars, because at some point the Earth is going to be destroyed. And profit follows him because his companies have a vision, they have hope, they have purpose. And there was a study that just came out that says the ability to have hope is it is the strongest factor in whether a company will survive or not survive, or humans will follow something or not follow something. It's hope. It's based off of Superman and the S from his planet Krypton. It's that concept of hope, that symbol of hope, is what people follow. And everything he earns, he's shoving straight back into his business. He has sold multiple companies, and over time he's taken all the profits and rebet it on everything that he's doing. And you see that in those entrepreneurs who are at the next level, or those people who have the next level money, is that they took their money, their millions of dollars that they got from their first exit, and they bet it fucking all on the house.
Mm.
I mean, even so much as Jerry Jones, and you listen to his story and what he did with betting everything on the house with his oil wells, and then his oil wells hit, and then he bet everything on he went and got a loan and covered a bunch of investors for the Dallas Cowboys and bet everything on the Dallas Cowboys. Like, people like that have put their life and their everything that they own on the line over and over and over. And that's what I'll call them fucking normies don't understand, is they think that these wealthy people just fucking were born wealthy, or they got there, or somehow because they're at their level, they should provide more, taxes or whatever for everyone else. Like, those people's fucking taxes were given with sweat, blood, tears, probably crying in a fucking corner half the time, thinking that they're going to go bankrupt. The amount of people that they feed, the amount of families that they feed, opportunities that they give to other people, like, that's what they gave up. That's the taxes that they paid. Let me tell you on that. And again, yeah, they drive a whole bunch of economy as well. People don't
Mm.
understand economy because they want a socialist communist nation that everything's given to them. But they gave those things up. They focused on the mission. They focused on their people. They focused on driving the business so that people would have places to go. They would be able to feed their families. So they didn't fake their mission. They believed in their mission, and they put everything on the line, and they got to that point they are because of that. A good test to know if your mission actually motivates you is whether or not you have really staff turnover. If you have people who are staying there, and despite it being hard work, long hours, they stay there, they love working there, and they love the mission, then your vision, your mission is right. If you look at Disneyland, and again, I've said this a few times, Disneyland talks about how horrible the job is, but they get a ridiculous amount of applicants all the time, and they take very little people, and the people love to work there, and they post about how much they love to work there even after they leave and do other things. They post about how great it was to work there. If you listen to job interviews, or interviews from ex-employees of Amazon and uh SpaceX, or Twitter, they talk about how much of a tyrant Steve Jobs was, or how much of a tyrant Elon Musk is, but they still loved the job. They still said, like, man, I learned so much from those people. Being around those people brought me up and elevated me. People can call you a tyrant all they want, but at least they won't be able to call me a fucking liar or somebody who doesn't have integrity. Like, again, yeah, like, I am very strict on business. I want to drive. I want to take the mountain. People don't want to be pushed. Okay, that's not my problem. You can find another place to work. But those people around me who allow me to push them and and I drag them along, they're going to make more money than they ever have in their life. And they're going to continue to grow and they're going to be a part of something great. And that's the whole goal. That is really the whole goal is I want people to win. I want to fucking win. There are winners and there are losers, and I want to be on the winning team every fucking time. I want to.
No participation
There's
trophies
no
here.
participation trophies. You can take that shit the fuck home. Like, I want to win. I want to crush fucking everybody out there in the medical field. I want to own everybody's med spa. I want to crush everyone. And so if you want to be a part of that mission, jump on board.
Have you ever sacrificed profit for purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. We could get bunk research drugs right now and make 10 times as much money. We can use non-FDA approved like procedures and make 10 times as much money. There's so many things that we could scrape and do things illegally or cut rate or whatever and make a whole bunch more profit. We could make a whole lot more profit. I mean, we could stop doing bonuses and commissions and profits in our profit sharing and in our business. We could stop doing all of that and save a ton of money. But we don't. We don't do those things. Like we do those things because we want people to grow with us. And so yeah, that's choices we make every single day that sacrifice profit for the purpose of the business. 100%.
Along the lines of mission and purpose, you also have to be willing to set impossible goals. And that's what Elon Musk is really great at and known for. He sets crazy, unreasonable timelines for things. And it's really not to, have people fail, but he feels like innovation comes from pressure.
Mhm.
And some of his ways of doing things as far as that pressure would make like normal humans just completely sweat.
Mhm.
And he doesn't change that. He's focused on pushing the boundaries, and that means putting pressure on people where it matters because he celebrates that. Even if like something doesn't go well, he doesn't punish failure. It's seen as, a good thing, and it's a way for him to grow and keep innovating, but know that those goals are like, to some people, what they would consider impossible. So setting impossible goals.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like you set impossible goals when it comes to your business?
I do this. I learned that from him, where people say, "Oh, it's going to take like I got to do this. It's going to take 6 months or it's going to take 3 months." I'm like, "Cool, you have a month." Like, I don't care. And it's the same thing with anything that you want to get done in your business. You got to set the end date for it, and that end date has to be unreasonable. And guess what? You're going to figure out how to do it because you will do it in that time. We have clinics where they wait until the last week to hit their vitality number, and then they hit their vitality number in 3 days. If they did that amount of work and that amount of effort the first 3 days of the month, they wouldn't have issues with that. So that's a conversation you have to have with your own team and with yourself, is like, okay, like I'm going to give myself time to do this. Guess what? You don't have fucking time. You don't have time to do this. Like, you have to have a consistent state of urgency. You have to consistently push yourself to say, like, I don't have time. Like, I have a very finite amount of time on this earth, and I have a long way to go towards my goals. And if I don't do it now, if I don't do it every single day, if I don't focus on it every single day, I'm going to be behind the curve. I am not going to get where I need to go. We're not going to get where we need to go. So if people say, well, it's going to take, 3-6 months, you say, okay, cool. How can you do it in a month? And Hormozy has said this on multiple podcasts, and I've heard him say it. He would ask his editors on his team, okay, give me some content or a piece of content. And they would bring something to him. And then he would say, okay, if you had 6 weeks to do this, what would you do differently? Oh, I would do this, this, and that. Okay, if you had 6 months to work on this, what would you do differently? Oh, I would do this, this, that. He said, okay, we'll do that in fucking 6 days. That's what he would do. And Elon says the same thing. How long is this going to take? 2 weeks. Okay, you have 2 hours. And he's that extreme with it. And guess what? His people get paid really well to do that. They do. And so he's a very efficient guy with no bullshit. And he's just like, look, he sets deadlines and people that make people want to fucking bleed from their eyeballs. If you can't set goals that you cannot hit, then you're not leading, you're not growing, you're not going to be able to be capable of great things. You have to have unachievable goals, and then you have to try and achieve them every fucking day. And if you give people goals and they hit them 100% of the time, then they're not going to improve. They're going to be like, oh, we're good at what we do all the time, no matter what. We've seen it where we have low vitality numbers in clinics, and the clinics never go above those vitality numbers. They hit those vitality numbers and they coast, or they coast up to hitting those vitality numbers. We got to push the envelope, and we're starting to do it. We're going to be starting to do that now in our company as well. And you got to do it in your life, where I would rather have a team hit 70% of an unattainable goal than 100% of a goal that is the easiest thing on earth every single time. There's no benefit. There's no feeling of success in hitting something that you can hit every single time.
Yeah. Do you think there's like a middle ground between those two?
No. And that's actually been studied. That has 100% been studied, where I'll take the extreme when it comes to luxury goods. There's a whole bunch of people that buy fake luxury goods and fake things because they want to look that way. Studies have shown that actually doesn't improve your life or improve those people's happiness over or even equal to people who actually just buy the luxury goods.
Yeah.
And so that faking it until you make it, or fake it, or like pretend like you're successful, or making those small, like I fucking hate the people that are like, every day I wake up and I do 7 things that make me successful. I make my bed and I drink my lemon water and I pray and I look to the east, and because I want to start my day off being successful. Fuck that shit. Like that's those are things that you should fucking do every day.
Yeah.
Those are just like, you should never pat yourself on the back for shit that you should just be doing.
Yeah. I
Period.
think Chris Rock has a good skit on that.
Does he?
Or maybe Kevin Hart. He's like talking about paying child support, and he's like, you want me to celebrate that?
Yeah.
You should be doing that anyway.
You should be doing that anyways. You should literally be doing that anyways. Like, that is your job.
But no, I'm not talking about the extreme on the opposite end of, fake it till you make it. But I am thinking about studies I've heard and stories I've heard where women CEOs do very well because they set stretch but attainable goals. And at the end, the companies end up oftentimes being turned around or being super successful because company morale stays high, because people are able to hit their goals, even though so I'm talking about like a stretch goal, something that's
You're talking about just regular KPIs.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to I'm not talking about making it so it's like easy, you could do that with your eyes closed, but but I'm not talking about the so extreme that nobody can ever hit it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean by the middle. Somewhere between those two, where it's just not, okay, yeah, of course we can do that. But it's also like, it's never gonna, we're never actually gonna get there.
But that's the difference between Elon Musk and everyone else. That's totally the difference in the founder mentality between Elon Musk and everyone else. Like, Elon is chasing things that are almost unattainable every single day.
True.
And as a goal, as a business, that's why he's driving everyone else. Everyone else could have their local KPIs or their local goals or their little things that they want to achieve. If you as a leader want to do something like Elon Musk, you want to have that vision and that goal, which isn't for everyone, then you have to have those unattainable goals that you can never catch.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
when you're doing that, that's why he's blowing past everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't mean SpaceX has deadlines that they're meeting. The Boring Company has certain amount of tunnels that they have to tunnel at a certain time, and moving those things faster, etc. But what he does is he is forcing people around him to level up to him by forcibly telling them has to be done in this amount of time, which naturally unlocks people being better. Because let's just talk about getting ready for something, getting dressed for something. Like, you wake up early, it's going to take the same amount of time to get dressed versus you waking up and you got 15 minutes to get dressed. Now, will you look 100% the same in each case? No, but you'll probably be, I would say 80%, maybe even 90% looking the same.
Mhm.
Do you think anybody will notice when you walk out that door, whether it took you 15 or an hour to get ready, unless it's like I'm throwing out all the bullshit like, oh well, what about a costume party or
Right,
whatever?
right.
Just fucking getting dressed and looking presentable
Why?
for work.
I
Do you
don't.
think anybody would notice whether you got ready in 15 minutes versus an hour?
I don't think externally.
The answer is fucking no.
but
It's fucking no.
But I do think how somebody shows up is their level of like preparedness.
Right,
Like, you
exactly.
can feel if somebody
Exactly.
is rushing and feels scattered or doesn't have things together
Right.
versus when somebody is intentional with their time
Totally.
and shows up prepared. I
Yeah.
do think you could tell.
Which
the
is my
difference.
fucking point, because they were doing the work before. They were obsessed about it before. They prepared before. They got ready before. So it doesn't matter whether they got ready in 15 minutes or an hour. Like, everything leading up to that, they had already prepared. They're not rushing. They don't have to rush, because whether they get ready in 15 minutes or an hour, like, whatever they're going to, they're prepared for. They're ready for. They're ready to take action. They are. It's there.
So you're talking about them being like prepared in the sense of, I'm prepared for the meeting or I'm prepared for the podcast because I've looked over
or
my
I'm
notes.
prepared
and I
for
know
fucking
everything.
life.
But just like how I look.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm prepared for life. Like, even in how you look, there is nobody who's going to be able to tell whether you got ready in 15 minutes or an hour. There is nobody that's going to be able to tell that. You wear very natural makeup. You're not like, you don't wear clothes that like require you to put pieces together or anything like that like are ornate or anything. Nobody is going to know.
I think people feel
And
it.
even
though.
with work, nobody fucking feels it. No one fucking feels it.
That is
not bullshit. No
I
one
do think
feels it.
people can feel if you feel good in that. Like, if somebody can get ready in 15 minutes and walk out and feel great, cool. Like, that, you could probably feel that. But if somebody is not feeling their best because they didn't have time to actually get ready for something, I think you can feel that too.
Right. I think I agree with that. But I think it's just literally it's
I also
what
don't
we're-
want to encourage our team to roll out of bed and go into work.
no,
'cause that's terrible.
That's just it. Like, if you prepare before, and you're always focused on, okay, how can I improve or speed up every little process of my life?
Make it smoother.
It's
Like meal prepping.
Like,
meal
meal prepping or
that.
setting out your clothes the day before or choosing black shirts every fucking day so I have one less decision I have to make every day. You're going to have decision fatigue. You're going to have time fatigue. You're going to have thought fatigue. If you're speaking, on stage in front of people or speaking in an event for 8 hours, you're going to get exhausted. If you're not speaking on stage or you're working and speaking to people for 8 hours, you're going to get exhausted. You're going to have fatigue naturally. So if you can cut down all the bullshit and just make sure that it's organized, then nobody's going to know.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Being prepared.
And that's exactly
examples.
what Elon's saying, is that like everything you do needs to be, all the fluff needs to be cut out.
Yeah. It goes back to focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we're talking about with people focusing and, that
Yeah.
obsession is really focus. And that's what he's making people do when he says, hey, you have 2 days to do this.
Well, that's
like,
and exactly,
you focus on only that.
And you could apply that to you're feeling good. Like, can you take 3 minutes and reframe your mind to feel good? If you can't, you need to fucking work on it.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he's trying to say. Like, it shouldn't take you an hour to make you feel good about yourself to walk out the door. If it does, how can you do it in 30 minutes? How can you do it in 15? How can you do it in 3? You being that extreme is where he's at.
Yeah.
It's why entrepreneurs and these billionaires, multimillionaires, etc., are where they're at, because those timelines, again, the 7 days a week, 365 days a year, they add up to 16 extra years over 30.
Yeah.
And if you can protect that extra time in between, that's only at a 40-hour work week. That 16 extra years is. That's only
Good
at
point.
40 hours
Good
a
point.
week. Imagine 80
You're
hours a
putting
week.
10 hours in a
at
day.
80 hours a week at 30 years, that's an extra 32 years. You have doubled your time in life working on something that you're obsessed about. Doubled your fucking time in life. working on what you're obsessed about, just focusing on, again, can I cut the hour down to 15 minutes? I mean, that's an extra 3/4 of time there. So what can you do every single day to improve all those little things? That's what Elon's thinking about. That's the level that I'm trying to tell people to get to here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll speak from the female entrepreneur, mother of a young one. I'm at that phase in my career in life where I'm going, okay, it's going to make sense for me to hire somebody to come into the home and help with cleaning, cooking, laundry, Elia, like, and take a bunch of things off my plate so that I can be really focused on the skincare launch, building Life PRP, Genesis. So I can be focused here so that all these other things are like just not even a thought. Paying somebody else to do all of that. And so, I think that's also as you're building your career, because we're not all at Elon Musk level yet.
Right.
As we go, recognizing that there are going to be times where that shift takes place too. Like, where does it make sense now for me to be more efficient with my time, to create more value in business? So what do I need to do? Like, what do I need to have in place? And, interesting, we've been talking about moving. And so we had a conversation around what comes first. And what we landed on was the nanny, the help first, because that frees me up time-wise, because that will inevitably create more income. And then we can move into probably an even nicer house than what we're thinking, So that's an interesting path too. So recognizing, like, we're not all at the level of Elon Musk, but at every stage of your life, every stage of entrepreneurism, taking a look at where can I be more efficient? Where am I spending time? Where am I wasting time? Where can I focus more? And that level of self-discovery is, I think, a level of stretching to get to the next level in wherever you're going, whatever that looks like for you, whatever that goal is for you. Because people might not have a goal of working 80 hours a week, and that's okay. It's like just recognizing, like, whatever it's just going to be based, your results are going to show.
Yep.
Like,
exactly.
And whatever level you want to live at, you put the work in to get to that level. And then hopefully you're stretching.
Right.
But yeah, so that being said, if you stretch to keep going to the next level, do you ever hit a place where you're like, am I delusional in this process?
Every fucking day. Every day you should be like, this is
I'm
crazy.
crazy.
I'm crazy. I'm going crazy. I'm going to have to put myself in the hospital. There is a phrase, and it goes, the smarter you get, the stupider everybody else seems. And it's the same with, like, pushing yourself. The more you push yourself and ask for greatness, the more you'll see and feel that everyone around you just is not trying to do that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But at the same time, you're going to lose your mind, and you're going to feel like you're crazy, and that's completely normal if you're trying to be great or a leader or anything like that. 100%. The people who all changed the world, they were all called crazy. They were all called idiots. They were all, like, made fun of, etc. Every single one of them. Not a single one can say, like, oh yeah, I had support the entire time, and everybody loved me the whole time, and everyone believed in me every single time. There is not a single entrepreneur, leader, person who changed the world who could say that, and that you could say that about. Not one. Even Jesus. You can fucking everybody fucking hated him too. So that's just part of life. That is part of life.
Yeah. Well, I feel a little bit better about feeling delusional sometimes.
There you go.
I'm glad I'm not
You're
alone
welcome.
in it.
You're welcome. You guys can feel delusional. You have my permission.
Elon Musk is what I would consider somewhat of an outlier. And while people may like or not like him, there's always something to learn from somebody. His playbook and the way that he manages the extreme level of success he has gotten to is absolutely transferable into any business and any lifestyle. So taking things like we're talking about founders studying founders, taking things from other founders and saying, what can I pull from that? What can I implement? That's something that I've heard you talk about. It's like pull one or two things and focus on doing that, making that change. And then, and maybe that's for a few months. And then you focus on the next couple things. You know, you're not taking the whole thing and going, oh my God, now I need to do everything the way Elon Musk does it, or whatever founder that you most identify with. You're not going to do everything overnight, but taking some things that they're doing really well and transferring that to what does that look like in your business? What, what kind of principles, what kind of obsession, the
Mhm.
speed in which I need to move, all of that stuff, the pressure, the mission over profits. It's not, you don't have to have superpowers. We've got Superman behind you.
Oh, there you go.
And, you definitely have this superpower aspect to you and what you focus on. But these are not superpowers that we're talking about.
Yeah.
You do not have to be a superhero.
No.
Maybe be a drug lord.
There you go. You
I
be drug
mean,
lord. Yeah,
if you don't know what that is about, listen to the beginning of the podcast.
exactly.
But it's all up to choice, and
Mhm.
it's all up to deciding what fits for you, trying it out, making changes, and improving every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to develop a business or a process that is going to put humans on Mars. You should very well, if you want to be a leader in your company, if you want to be a great business owner, if you want to be a leader at home, you should think like someone who wants to do that. You should be obsessed over all the little details. How can you make things more efficient? How can you make things better for you and your family and the people around you? Challenge what is the norm, outwork all that noise, communicate faster, break things quickly, and for God's sake, in the very end of it, make it about something bigger than just money. If you make it about change, you make it about real vision, then people are going to follow you and the profits will follow you as well. And that's what Elon has taught us over and over and over. So, guys, thanks for listening. As always, like, share, leave us a comment. Would love to hear your reviews or spread some reviews. If you felt like this helped you, share it with somebody. And we appreciate you guys. Have a good one.